ROG, that's the name that Asus has given its gaming phone. It's not just a random collection of letters, and it's not, rather sadly, short for Roger. What it is an acronym for Republic of Gamers, Asus's dedicated gaming brand, and this is its monster of a gaming smartphone. How monstrous are we talking? Let's do some specs because they're fun. This has got a 6-inch AMOLED screen on the front. It has got a dual lens camera, one with 12 megapixels, the other a wide angle lens that can take 48 megapixel super resolution photos. It's got a Snapdragon 845 processor, but a speed binned version. That means it goes up to speeds of 2.96 gigahertz, more than a regular Snapdragon 845. There's 8 gigabytes of RAM. There's up to 512 gigabytes of internal storage space. It's got a beautiful glass body. There's quick charge. There's even a crazy fan accessory to keep things cool when you're gaming all night. Genuinely, this is an unbelievably spec'd smartphone. So let's talk about the really important part, which is the processor. This is Asus's big claim to fame for the ROG phone. It's what's called a speed binned processor. That might be familiar if you're a hardcore gamer, but to anybody else it probably doesn't mean anything. All you really need to know is that it's faster than the average Snapdragon 845. In here, the 845 runs at 2.96 gigahertz. That's faster than the 2.8 gigahertz that you'll usually get out of an average 845. There's 8 gigabytes of RAM as well, so this is a super powerful smartphone. What we've noticed is that games are incredibly fast and incredibly smooth. And what that does is make you play for longer. It's a more pleasurable experience. But the really exciting thing is that it extends throughout the operating system. The Asus ROG phone is easily one of the fastest and smoothest Android phones we've used in recent memory. Anybody who uses a social network will be used to going into apps and there's a certain degree of hesitation or a little bit of a jerky motion, and scrolling is unpleasant and annoying. Quite the opposite with the ROG phone. It's fabulous. Genuinely one of the best Android user experiences we've had because of the amazing speed of that speed binned Snapdragon 845 processor. A big selling point. What else do you get? There's everything. There's face unlock, which is incredibly accurate, way more accurate than the fingerprint sensor on the back. There's a 3.5mm headphone socket, there's DTS audio, there's quick charge on the 4000 milliamp hour battery, there's the super special game mode to really optimize your games, there's the really cool logo that changes color on the back, the dual lens camera, there's ability to live stream your games directly from the phone without installing separate apps. There really is everything. That comes right down to the dual speakers on the front for stereo sound and this wonderful design. Let's talk a little bit about the design. We think it's fantastic, really futuristic. These wonderful diamond cut patterns on the back really make it stand out. This is glass on the rear, it has a metal frame all around the edge, and it's Gorilla Glass 6 over the screen, so it's incredibly durable. What we really like about the design and the metal frame is that it's very easy to grip. You're going to need that when you're holding the phone to play games, and it's something that many manufacturers don't think about. Their phones are slippery, and the last thing you want is your phone slipping out of your hand when you're trying to play a game. On the back you can see this is a plastic edging here, which is quite an unusual addition. Most phones don't add bits of plastic for no reason. Underneath here is copper, and that is used to dissipate heat. You can see the copper copper sections poking through on the rear panel here. This is all done in the name of keeping the phone cool while you're gaming. And genuinely, we've used this for hours to play games and it doesn't get hot. There's no heat at all. You don't even need to use the little fan, which Asus calls its aeroactive cooler, because of course it does. That really isn't necessary in normal gameplay. Perhaps if you're really going for it, then yes, you'll need it. But under normal circumstances, this does an amazing job of keeping cool. Let's talk about another cool aspect of the design. That's this side port here. You can see that it hides a USB Type-C and also another connector. Cleverly, it can be used for charging, it can be used as an HDMI out, so you can plug this into your TV, and it uses the same system to connect accessories. So you saw the little fan, and you can also get a gaming controller that you can plug into this as well. Normally it's covered by this ridiculous piece of rubber that as soon as you take out, well, it's just going to get lost. There must have been a better way to cover that. Now, the placement is the interesting thing. While there's a port on the end for charging, like you'd expect, this one here is perfect for when you're playing, because the cables poke out the bottom rather than being in your way at the side. Really well thought out, clever design from Asus, and something we've never seen before on a gaming smartphone. And that's a big advantage. Visuals matter on a gaming smartphone, perhaps more so than any other smartphone. Well, Asus has really thought about the display on here. While it can't match the Razer Phone 2's incredibly high refresh rate, it still manages 90 Hz, which is perfectly acceptable. It has a 1 millisecond response time, which is fantastic, 100,000 to 1 contrast ratio, and it supports HDR. So you're pretty much guaranteed of fantastic visuals. We really like that. It's a 6-inch screen. It has an AMOLED panel, so it looks fantastic, particularly when you're gaming with very dark black scenes and for high contrast gaming as well. Something we've really enjoyed looking at. For resolution, the display has got a 2160 by 1080 pixel resolution, and it's very bright, 550 nits. So we've not had any issues at all like that. There's also a blue light filter should you feel the need to switch it on in the evenings. But a beautiful visual experience on the Asus. A gaming phone you might not think has got a good camera. Well, luckily Asus has done a really good job with the camera on the ROG phone. This is a dual lens camera, and one of them is wide angle, which we're beginning to see a little bit more of recently. Huawei has introduced it on the Mate 20 Pro, LG has had them for ages on the G series and the V series phone. And it's an interesting creative avenue. We've had fun shooting, and the camera takes great photos, slightly saturated, but that's the shareable look, and you either like it or you hate it. It's adjustable if you want to play around with some filters and things if you really don't like it. But we've really liked the effects that you can get with the camera on here. It's fast, it's capable, it does everything that you'd want a camera to do. There's even a super resolution setting where you can shoot photos up to 48 megapixels. That's quite fun to play around with as well. The good thing is it does work nicely as a camera phone, a gaming phone, and an all-round high performance everyday device. That's everything we want from a smartphone. Yes, you're going to have to pay a little bit of money for it, but to be honest, you're not missing out on anything. You're gaining everything with the ROG phone. Is it all positive? No, it never is. Although we love the fact that there's a 3.5mm headphone jack on the bottom, we don't like the fact that the phone hasn't got a good water resistance rating. It's also pretty heavy. It's 200 grams, so you really know this is in your pocket. And there's a fingerprint sensor on the back, which for some reason is not very good We've not had much reliability out of it. We find it quite awkward to press. It's quite high up the phone and in a strange place instead of just being in the center like a normal phone. They're little annoyances. We're also not huge fans of the endless customization that Asus has felt the need to put over Android. It's also an older version of Android, Android 8 and not Android 9. Little things, but they add up. How much are you going to pay for this pretty amazing piece of technology? It depends on the version you pick. $900 will get you the 128GB storage space version, and $1,100 will get you the massive 512GB version. Probably if you're a gamer, you're going to want that extra internal space, so the extra $200 will likely be worth it. You're also going to have to spend out if you want all of the little accessories apart from the cooler which comes in the box. If you want the controller and the dock, they cost extra, and quite a bit extra. Is all of that worth it? If you're a gamer, absolutely. This is the phone to buy. If you're not, amazingly, you could do a lot worse than buying a gaming phone for every other smartphone usage you can think of, from camera to everyday speed related tasks. And that is a big plus point for the Asus ROG phone, which is, despite the Republic of Gamers tag, not just for gamers.